in the mitochondria. So energy medicine, in fact, has a basis in biochemical changes. And as Dr. Becker would say, the energetic properties of the body control the biochemistry. So here we're taking advantage of these principles. We're using light to affect very powerful biochemical changes in the body, and we are using this to activate the body's stem cells and improve healing. So one way to think about this is that this is a form of low-level light therapy. And we're going to use this to elevate the peptide GHK-Cu, otherwise known as copper peptide. Now, what is copper peptide, and why are we elevating this with light therapy? Well, this is something I would encourage all of you to take a look at. Copper peptide was discovered by Dr. Laurent Picard almost 50 years ago now. And Dr. Picard devoted most of his life to studying this very, very powerful peptide. You'll find multiple scientific studies that are published on copper peptide by Dr. Picard and others. And what Dr. Picard came to the conclusion of is that copper peptide, GHK-Cu, was a very powerful gene modulator. Copper peptide was capable of resetting thousands of genes in the body to a younger, healthier state. So, in other words, we elevate copper peptide, and now the stem cells in our body can function like younger, healthier cells, which is what we all want, because now we can heal to a better degree. So how do we know that our X39 patch elevates copper peptide? Well, there's some names here that you might recognize: Dr. Caitlin Conner and Dr. Melinda Conner. Dr. Melinda Conner was blessed this past year to receive an award from your association as Scientist of the Year. And it has been an absolute privilege to work with Dr. Melinda Conner and Dr. Caitlin Conner for more than 10 years now on research studies into LifeWave technology. So here was a study performed by Dr. Caitlin Conner, and since then we have had a 60-person double-blind placebo-controlled study published, and you can find that on the LifeWave website. But this was our first study, and the analysis is done with blood, 10-person pilot, people over the age of 60. And we use people over the age of 60 because we find the copper peptide levels are lower, and stem cell activity has diminished 60 to 80% by the time we're over the age of 60. We're going to look at very rapid changes here, changes in blood chemistry within the first 24 hours. We also want to see in studies like this what happens over the course of the first 7 days. So in other words, using light therapy, if we can get a change in the first 24 hours, that's fantastic news, because that means we can get the stem cells going right away. So you can see the study results show that after 24 hours, we get statistical significance at elevating GHK, and then after 1 week, elevating GHK-Cu. This was a study done by Dr. Melinda Conner, and now we're doing urine analysis to look at changes in metabolism when wearing X39. This was the second study of this type that we had, 50-person double-blind placebo-controlled, and again, using people over the age of 60. We looked for changes over a period of 24 hours and 7 days. And what we could see is that indeed we had statistical significance on an improvement in the metabolism of amino acids. So for example, we saw improved metabolism of the amino acid leucine. We know leucine is the key branch chain amino acid that activates mTOR, which of course is muscle protein synthesis. So we found that using X39, people recover from exercise more quickly because we're inducing a higher degree of muscle protein synthesis. What we also found, as another example, is that the amino acid tryptophan was metabolized to a greater degree, about 30 to 40% improvements in leucine and tryptophan metabolism. So the quality of sleep is improving. We also found improvements in short-term and mid-term memory in only a week. And people that used the patch for a week even had a reduction in their blood pressure if the blood pressure was high. We found improvement in heart rate variability, which is the ratio of the high frequency, low frequency muscle contractions in the heart. Overall vitality and energy improved. Even the depth of breathing improved. So anyone that's doing Tai Chi, Qigong, energy healing will really appreciate the deeper breathing. Now, we've done over 9 studies on X39. I just picked a few to share with you today. This is another one from someone that you might recognize, Dr. Gaetan Chevalier. We've been working with Dr. Chevalier now for more than 10 years. Very fortunate and blessed to be working with him. And this is an initial study that we did on brain mapping using a P3 system. This was an open label study with 12 participants over the age of 50, and this was a little bit longer term. We wanted to find out with the EEG system what happens over a period of 3 weeks and 6 weeks. For those of you that are familiar with this system, you'll appreciate these dramatic effects. Session 1 is baseline, session 2 is after 3 weeks, and session 3 is after 6 weeks. This is a 77-year-old woman. We wouldn't expect there to be any dramatic changes because there's virtually no stem cell activity in someone this age. Yet by using X39 to elevate copper peptide, we find that there can be dramatic improvements in brain coherence, which is what this shows, in only 3 weeks. Now, some people it takes a little bit longer. This is a 67-year-old man, and you can see in session 1 that there were issues with brain coherence. We start to see an improvement after 3 weeks, but we don't get a dramatic improvement until 6 weeks. So some people are going to respond a little bit faster. So we encourage people to stay on the product at least a month to give it a try. Although most people are going to respond and get an effect within the first 7 to 10 days. Now, what does this mean in real life since we're talking about healing? This is a gentleman in Italy, and he had open heart surgery in 2017, and it left a pretty significant scar. We went to pre-launch with X39 in July 2018, so he began to use it. And you can see after only 1 month, there is a dramatic reduction in the appearance of that scar. This was a more recent surgery, and you can see after 2 weeks, a dramatic improvement in healing. Now, some people prefer to apply the patch near the site of the wound, and that's perfectly fine. But again, it's not necessary. Just wearing it at the lower dantian or at the back of the neck at GV14, stomach 36, large intestine 4, or spleen 6, wherever you like. This is a young man who was getting ready for a job interview, and a few days before the interview, he fell in a snowboard accident and got cut up pretty bad. But you can see that 5 days of X39 he had a remarkable result. This gentleman nearly lost his hand in a car accident. And after using X39 for just 2 months, there's barely the sign of a scar. So remarkable result here. This was a young boy in Denmark who caught his fingertip in a door and had it severed off. His parents rushed him to the hospital. They reattached the fingertip, and the doctor had said, well, the fingertip's going to die, but the father begged with him to reattach it. And in fact, the fingertip started to die. They applied X39, and you can see just 2 months later, the finger is back to normal, and he regained use of the fingertip. Should not even have been possible. Now, what about if someone does not have an injury? Well, one of the things that stem cells do really well is increase production of collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the body, and of course, we need collagen to repair injury. But we all lose collagen with age. So people that don't have injury, we can see how they can benefit. We can get a very significant reduction of lines and wrinkles. And you can see this woman here, her name is Mandy. She's from Australia. After 1 year of using X39, we see this effect that we call youth renewal, which means after a year of getting those stem cells to act like younger, healthier cells, she begins to look younger. Now, here's a dramatic example of this. This woman at the time was 93, and she was suffering with a number of very serious health conditions. Her daughter wanted her to use X39 to improve her health. Her daughter is a LifeWave distributor, and gave the patch to her mom. And you can see after 2 months, everyone was absolutely shocked to see how in such a short period of time, her health improved. So I want to take this opportunity once again to thank you for your time, to learning a little bit about X39 and light therapy, and how we can use energy therapy and energy technology to activate the body's stem cells. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your conference. And once again, many, many thanks for being invited and having the opportunity to speak with you all today. Thank you.